that the grades honestly do not matter. I hate saying that, but it does because there's so many variables out there when it comes to grading. Every year I meet with students with 4.0 GPAs, like I said in the beginning, who still get denied from top schools because they never built the complete academic single profile that elite colleges now expect. All right, top of the hour, we're going to get started. Welcome everybody. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. So we are live right now. I'm Dr. Joe, co-founder of Supported Tutoring and ACNAP exams. And tonight we have a very special training for all of our parents out there watching. We're going to talk about the 5 academic signals top colleges demand. So this is how we go from straight A's to actually being accepted to one of the most prestigious schools out there. So we're going to start off like we always do with a couple true false questions. So if you're joining right now, you're going to put you leave the chat. Let's see if it's open. And then we'll have a Q&A as well. Everyone, T or F in the webinar chat. So, true or false? What parents think versus what colleges expect. So, question number 1, top colleges no longer care about the SAT or ACT scores. They're fully test optional. True or false? True or false? Got a false. Erica says false. It is false. After the pandemic, nearly all the Ivy League schools and top tier universities reinstated test requirements. So it is no longer test optional. True or false? Harvard, Yale, MIT, and Dartmouth now require SAT or ACT scores again 2025. True. Anyone else? That is true. And Stanford also expects all AP exam scores to be reported. So families who skip testing instantly weaken their students' application strength. So another question, if a student takes an AP class, submitting the AP exam score is optional. True or false? True or false? We got true. Anyone else? So for a top university, it's false. Stanford, MIT, Harvard expect AP exam results for every AP class listed. If an AP class appears on a transcript but no scores reported, admissions officers assume the exam was skipped or the score was low. So we don't want to do that. No score is already read as a low score. Question number 3, straight A's guarantee college admission to elite schools. Maya says 2, true. Erica says true. Erica says false. Okay, false. Every Ivy League applicant pool is flooded with perfect GPAs. So that is false. What separates top 5 of admits from top 20% of applicants are elite test scores, 1500 SAT, 34 plus, ACT, and APs of 4s and 5s. Grades get you in the pile, Scores get you in the acceptance. Question number 4, test optional means test blind. Colleges won't look at scores even if you submit them. True or false? Erica says false. Anyone else? Someone says false. All right. It is false. TEPS optional is not test blind. There is a difference there. When scores are submitted, they're heavily weighted in the evaluation. True or false? Or sorry, that's not the true or false question. Data from Dartmouth shows applicants who submitted SAT, ACT scores were admitted at double the rate of those who didn't. Question number 5. True or false? Colleges value diversity and context more than test results. Erica says false. Maya says false. Anyone else? It is partially true, but misleading. Yes, colleges value diversity, background, and context. However, they still demand performance evidence. So, strong SAT and AP results are especially important for immigrant and first generation families since they prove readiness regardless of school background. All right. And then equity through excellence, high scores help level the playing field. And we're going to talk about those targets as well. So, the SAT, the ACT targets, we are talking about the average SAT there is a 15 to 1580, which is top 1 to 5% in the country. The average SAT is a top score of 34 to 36, with an acceptance rate in those schools 3 to 6%. Top flagship schools that are not the Ivy League, not Stanford, not Caltech, UVA, UNC Michigan, UC Berkeley, they're requiring range of 1350 to 1450. Their average SAT is 30 to 33, an acceptance rate of 12 to 24%. And then the strong regional universities like Pitt, Penn State, University of Texas, Austin, University of Miami, 12 to 1300 on their SAT, 26 to 29, 35 to 50% acceptance rate. What does this all mean? It means that elite colleges are saturated with 4.0 GPAs. So we talk to students every day, their families, and their children that are in elite category. They are looking to go to top schools and they have high GPAs. But the sad truth is a lot of them are not going to get in. So tonight we're going to actually show what that actually looks like and what the 5 things you need to have. So the true differentiator is quantitative excellence, nationally normed proof of mastery. So for instance, at MIT, the middle 50% SAT range is 1520 to 1570. Near perfect score, meaning even a 1450 places a student below most admits. So if you're wanting to go to MIT and your SAT is not in that range, it's going to be really, really hard because you're outside that. 75% of students accepted at Harvard score above a 1550, and over 80% submit both SAT and AP scores. And at UVA, University of Virginia, competitive in-state, students average around a 1390, while out-of-state admits tend to be closer to 1470. Okay, so the difference between a 1470 and 1510 score can shift a student from a strong to a likely admit at a top 15 university. So the AP profile of admit students. So this is a whole secondary pathway here with the AP scores because they do matter. So Ivy League, Harvard, Princeton, MIT, Stanford, they're typically going to look for 8 to 12 AP classes by graduation, and they expect that the majority of them, if not all of them, are 5s. Top flagship programs, they want to see 5 to 7 APs with a mix of 4 or 5s, and selective state schools, they want to see 3 to 5 APs with a majority of fours. So that's just kind of the difference in those steps. Harvard reports its admitted students average 8 AP courses, with many showing additional college level studies. So typical students getting into Harvard have taken and shown scores for over 8 AP exams, potentially with fives. MIT admits frequently exceed 10 to 12 AP courses, often including some advanced APs like Calculus BC, Physics C, Chemistry, and Computer Science. So these are those AP exams that they're looking for. And top state universities like Michigan, UNC report successful applicants with 5 to 6 APs, primarily in core subjects. So here's the key insight. Colleges do not reward taking APs. They reward scoring well. So real quick show of hands, how many watching right now, you can raise your hand, your children are taking AP courses right now in high school? Show of hands. We got 1, 2, 3. 3 taking APs. Okay. So thank you. So if they're taking the AP courses and you want to get into top schools, they have to take the exams. So, and they have to score well. So a transcript filled with APs but lacking 4s and 5s can signal overreach without mastery. Now, I see this all the time in the kids we work with at my school, is that they're taking a bunch of AP courses, but they're not sitting for the exams. So they're actually hurting themselves in college admissions. They're not sitting for the exam because it's hard and they only want the GPA boost, or they're afraid they'll fail. If your child is taking an AP course, they must sit for the exam if you want this to factor into college admissions, because that sends a clear signal to the college one way or the other. With the reality check being every Ivy League admits pool is filled with straight A students. So my kid has a 4.4 GPA, not really unique when it comes to Ivy League. It's going to be another factor. So the real distinction between the top 5 and the top 20% comes down to the standardized evidence, the combination of SAT, ACT performance, and AP exam mastery. So you have to understand that the grades honestly do not matter. I hate saying that, but it does, because there's so many variables out there when it comes to grading. Like I literally just got off a call with a parent. Their kid in the AP class gets stickers for participation, and that makes up their grade, participation, which is, it's not a bad strategy as a former teacher, but like, that's not an AP course. That's not rigor. So colleges know this. They're not impressed by the weighted grade. They want to strip the weight out, see where you're at, but it really comes down to standardized evidence. That SAT, the ACT, and AP exams are standardized tests, and they're a way to equally measure kids across states. So what does this mean for you as parents? A 4.0 GPA with no test scores equals strong academics but unverified potential, meaning they did their grades show great, but they don't actually have any indicators there. So a strong GPA with a 1540 SAT and 8.5s verified elite admission readiness. Very, very important. So when you talk to admissions officers and they comparing students, because that's what they're doing for a living, and while they're reading exams, we expect perfection in grades, but what moves the needle is evidence that a student excels when measured against a national benchmark. So again, you could almost have an okay GPA, and by okay, I mean like a 3.75, 3.8 GPA, but you have a really phenomenal SAT, you have phenomenal AP scores. That's a better indicator than the perfect GPA. So single one, so that if you want to write these down, these are my 5 singles. And by the way, everyone attending tonight is going to get this guide. We have a document with source material. It is a complete document to read through and a checklist that you need to have for this. So everyone attending tonight is going to get that emailed out to them. And if you stay on the call, we do have a bonus offer for you as well. So you want to wait till the end. Here's what elite admissions officers look for. Did the student choose the most demanding program available? So real quick, just the first signal is academic rigor, right? What did you take? What you take? So did the student choose the most demanding program available? AP, IB, A levels, dual enrollment, whatever is available in the school, the top courses, did they take those? So do courses escalate in the school? Go from honors to AP, IB across 9th through 12th. Some schools start AP late, some schools start AP early. Whatever was available, did they challenge themselves? Is their core coverage English, math, science, social studies, language, plus depth? And we're going to talk about that in Signal 3. And then what does the data and the policy say? So for Harvard, students applying for the fall of 2025 will be required to submit standardized test scores. This is a big swing back from COVID, emphasizing that the more objective information helps identify talent, especially across unequal schools. They're literally saying they know schools are unequal. This underscores the need to corroborate rigorous coursework with external benchmarks. So again, we need to do well on standardized testing. And Yale requires scores. It's test flexible, but they may submit SAT, ACT, or APIB. So one of the two, right? It's flexible. They don't have to do one or the other. So you can have better AP scores versus SAT scores, but those AP and IB scores can validate the rigor listed on the transcripts. So Yale is what's looking for. Rigor must be paired with results. Grade inflation is 100% real. Colleges need evidence beyond course titles. Okay, so again, the GPA is not super important. It gets you in the door, but it doesn't get you admitted. That's why signals 2 and 3 and 5 are going to exist. So we're going to get to those two. They verify rigor with national examines and third-party validation. So parents moves in the next 7 to 14 days. You want to ask your counselor for your school's most demanding definition of AP IB available if you're new to this. How you can do that, you can either see the program of studies or you can literally just email your counselor. What are the most demanding courses available? What's the track for these students? So map out the 10th to 12th grade to hit the top lane in each core, then stack depth courses in your targeted field. If AP access is limited, you want to use dual enrollment or AP self-study to maintain rigor optics. So dual enrollment is a good option if there's no AP option there. What is dual enrollment? How many out there are taking their kids are taking dual enrollment courses? Just show of hands. Erica's are. Awesome. Only one. Okay. So dual enrollment, AP, which is better? AP is better. Okay. Dual enrollment is better if you're staying regionally. If you know that there's something called reciprocity, meaning the credits that your child is taking in dual enrollment are going to directly transfer to the college they want to go to, then it's better because they don't have to take an exam. But in terms of rigor relevance and for a top university, you need to push yourself to take the AP courses. They are better. Signal 2 is test mastery, how you score. So what elite readers look for is digital SAT and ACT near above each column's median, and that's the 50th percentile. And if you don't know what the median is, that comes from the common data sets. This is how we drive our college admissions program, is from data-driven metrics through the common data set. So every college has a common data set. They tell you what the 50th percentile, the 75th percentile, and 25th percentile of students admitted are. We're looking for higher than 50%. And so AP and IB exams that align with transcripts, claim 4s and 5s or 6s and 7s on the IB exams. So they want to see those top scores. The 24-25 policy reset. So who requires the test? Harvard actually reinstated the SAT and ACT for the class of 29. That's applicants applying last year, because this year is 25-26. Yeah, so last year, 24-25, citing strong evidence that scores help identify top talent and predict performance. Yale now also requires, with text flexible menu, like we mentioned before, the SAT, the ACT, the AP, or IB. So it is text flexible. Dartmouth reactivated SAT, ACT for the class of 2029. So you see this big pendulum swing back. Again, after testing and research showed testing improves equity by surfacing overlooked talent. And then MIT reinstated the SAT and ACT way back in 2022, helps them better assess preparedness and identify disadvantaged students who might lack other signals. Really, really all important here. And then what competitive looks like is middle 50% ranges. So, for example, you're competitive if you fall in the 50th percentile here in these scores. So the 1480 to 1580 range, you want to be right around 1520 or higher for Harvard. 1480, 1580, same for Yale. 1460 to 1570. You have a little bit of flexibility around the 1500s for Princeton. Stanford, you want to be a little bit above 1500. MIT, you want to be in like the 1550s. So you see that that's the middle range we're aiming for. A dang near perfect SAT score. Why AP IB scores matter even more is that if you have taken any AP exams, you are required to self-report all of your AP scores. This is new for Stanford. We're expecting the rest of the Ivy League and top 25 schools to follow suit. So you can't cherry pick your scores anymore. If you're taking an AP course, you're going to have to submit your scores or you're not getting into Stanford. That's brand new. And MIT expects complete AP reporting for placement and credit. So they want to make sure all those scores are on file. The takeaway is full transparency is now expected at elite schools. So here's what you do as a parent. So you want to use the rule of thumb for top 25 targets. The SAT, you're targeting a greater than or equal to 1500, or an SAT 34 or higher. And you want to have at least 2 to 3 attempts before the early deadline. So early deadlines are usually November 1st, some are in October. So we want to have that SAT taken well before September of senior year multiple times, or ACT. And you want to treat AP subjects as proof. Plan for 4s and 5s in core and major align exams. Now, this again, you want to guarantee that you're getting those scores. Again, the grades have no indicator if they're not doing any outside prep or anything that indicates that. We do help with that, obviously, but that is something that you want to make sure they're scoring 4s and 5s. So if students sit below the 25th percentile, you want to retest. If still below, the school is test optional, consider strategic non-submission, but note many elites now require scores. So if we're not getting into those score ranges, it's going to be really, really hard to get into a top school. So that brings us to signal number 3. Subject depth, your academic identity. Just quick check here is so far, thumbs up. This is making sense in what we're talking about for top admissions. Thumbs up in the chat if this is making sense so far, if this is helping you understand what top schools are looking for. Is there a thumbs up? Is there even a thumbs up button? How about raise your hands? Hands up raise your hands if this is helpful so far. So we did signal. Robert says yes. Erica says yes. Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you for the feedback. Just making sure that this is helpful so far. So what elite readers look for for signal number 3? So a coherent thread across courses, exams, and activities that points to a field of study. So just taking randomness with not an actual plan. If you want your child to be a doctor, or if they want to be a doctor, we want to have a pre-med portfolio of these classes to show sequencing. So think AP Bio, AP Chem, AP Calc, Stats, Physics, those things. Humanities, Lang, Lit, US World History, Government, Comparative Government, something in finance or qualitative economics, AP Calc, BC Stats, CSA, Micro, Macro. STEM related fields, Calc, BC, Physics, those things we want to show because they show that depth of character. It reduces uncertainty. You're establishing multiple data points to show that depth. And when a reader sees rigor, high scores in the attendant field, yield and first year success look stronger, mirroring the test policy rationale cited by Harvard, Yale, and Dartmouth. So what does that mean? That means that basically you're giving them more data points to show, oh, this kid not only wants to be in a top school, he's able to handle the rigor of these courses. They might not give you credit, but they're going to let you in. This is going to later tie to signal number 5. But AP and IB subject scores 4s and 5s or 6s and 7s, research or competitions, and college coursework all work together to show that depth. And so with Yale's flexible approach, they recognize AB, IB scores as acceptable scores, elevating robust subject portfolios. So as a parent, what you want to do is make sure you're choosing 2 to 3 flagship exams that scream depth. So if we're thinking STEM, that Calc, BC, physics route, vice versa for anything else. So we're not just taking all APs for the sake of APs, we're having a progression, right? And that's a 3-year plan with your counselor. You want to line up summer depth. So if you're wanting to get in these top schools, a lot of them look for some research programs, dual enrollment, internships to match the APs you'll take next year. So if you're in advanced engineering, potentially, or if you're not, let's say want to do medical school, and you're lining up AP Bio, doing some kind of research project, especially if you want to go BSMD, lining it up prior to taking that. So for schools without AP access, you can leverage the dual enrollment, or you can do self-study. It's the second time I mentioned that. Self-study, you can take the AP exams without taking the AP course. You don't get credit in the high school, but you can get credit for college. And that also shows really, really strong college admission requirements, which brings us to signal number 4, performance consistency. So they're looking for your trajectory over time. It's okay to start lower and work your way up, not okay to jump around. So what those admissions officers look for is an upward or steady GPA trend, few to no Bs in the core subjects from 10th to 12th grade. They want to see testing growth from PSAT to SAT, ACT, and APs from 3, 4s, and 5s across years. So basically, if they have 3s, it's okay. Their first time taking APs, we want to see 4s next year. We want to see 5s. They want to see the increase, not a decrease. All right. Increasing course challenge each year over year is important, but they want to see the scores to follow suit. And why does this matter? MIT and Harvard both cite standardized scores as predictive of first year performance. Consistent growth on objective measures reduces the risk for college, meaning if they're going to admit you, they want to know you can handle it, right? The worst thing, because like the truth is about college across the board is like 25% don't finish, right? And so these are major businesses and major brands, and so their alumni represent their network. That's why you don't see these colleges advertise, because they don't need to. Their networking, their job placement is their marketing. So they want you to be successful, and they're not going to admit you if you're not. And this is another indicator. So context and equity. The national SAT mean, the national SAT average for 2024 is 1024. Sorry, so 1024 for 2024, right? Around 1,500 points below that. Participation average vary widely across state and subgroups. So colleges read scores in context, but the top tier bar remains the same for high admits. So what you want to do, and again, I'm going to send a document to you guys, has all these para moves on here, but you want to create a scorecard, your GPA, your course rigor, your SAT, ACT, APs, review each semester to see where you stand. Plan retest and AP retake style improvements. So you can retake AP exams. They're just offered once a year. Lang in 11th grade, Lit in 12th grade show momentum. We don't want to go back. We want to show progression. World to US history. Physics 1 to Physics C. And you want to document context, limit AP access, family responsibility. So if there's not a strong AP profile, we want to make sure we acknowledge why, on document that the school didn't have these, they tried these different things, or if family responsibilities get in the way. So there is additional info section. Context helps readers interpret trajectory. So if there was offered and they didn't take it, why didn't they? Which brings us finally to signal number 5. And so signal number 5, external validation, proof beyond what your school offers. So what counts as validation? So AP and IB exam results, like I said, Stanford requires reporting of all AP scores taken. MIT expects complete reporting for credit records. But national competitions, awards, published research, juried performance, those are all strong indicators. College transcripts, dual enrollment A's, in Calc, Comp Science, English competition, national merit for the PSAT, all strong indicators. Why do colleges care about this? After test optional experiments during COVID, Many elites concluded that objective scores validations improve identification of high potential, under-resourced students, strengthening both accuracy and equity and holistic review. So it is a major pendulum shift back to the testing. And the equity reality check is that College Board reports persistent AP performance by race and ethnicity, and across diverse ethnicities as well, that they know that there are subgroups, unfortunately, that are underperforming in some areas. So that's driven by unequal preparation and access. Another reason elites want multiple signals to spot truly ready students from every background. In 2024, the AP National State data shows higher mean AP scores among Asian American students, 3.6. 3.6 score on the AP exams out of 5, with growth in credit qualifying scores across all groups. Evidence that focuses on preparation moves the needle. So again, we want to show growth in those AP scores and any outside evidence we have. So as a parent, we want to prioritize AP exams in classes already on the transcripts. Plan for 4s and 5s, and you're going to send them. If you want to add 1 to 2 external validators each year, a competition, research, or college course, that is helpful, but done strategically, not just randomly. And you do want to keep a simple brag sheet, scores, awards, links. This will help build the profile later, help build the resume. But you could do that when you hand it to people that are write recommendation letters. So just for quick reference, target and tactics. Your score targets for top 20 admissions, guideposts, they're not cut off, just FYI. The SAT is a 1500 plus for MIT, Stanford. Other top 25, a 1450 with an ACT of 34 plus. The SAT is those Ivy League top elite schools. Anything below that, you can take the ACT. APs, you're going to aim for 4s and 5s. If you're going to Ivy League, you need 5s. Major aligned subjects report all per school policy. So again, go into it knowing that if they're taking an AP course, they're going to have to submit their score. Again, Harvard will require all students to submit standardized test scores in the class of 2029. And Yale required applicants to submit scores from everything. So Dartmouth will reactivate the SAT requirements supported by research. So if you've taken an if you take an AP exam, you're required to self-report all your AP scores. So again, it helps assess the preparedness. So the next 12 to 18 months, no matter where you are, if you have a senior, a junior, a sophomore, or a freshman, or even an underclassman, or not a high school, we want to make sure we're building a readiness scorecard, which we have steps on the document that we're going to give you: GPA, rigor map, SAT, ACT plan. Don't just assume the school is going to do it for you. We want to make sure we're looking at if we're ineligible, like we are potentially a sophomore or junior, SAT, ACT dates, potentially lining tutoring up or self-study resources, and then decide on those 3 to 4 flagship AP exams to anchor the academic identity. You're going to want to sit at least twice for the SAT or ACT, and you want to target a super score. And then we want to start AP prep very early. Usually I recommend 12 weeks. All the kids in our program start 12 weeks out. Leaves you plenty of time to prepare. Do not wait till the end to prepare. And then we want to make sure we have an external validator like a research, a competition, or dual enrollment. And then from 6 to 12 months, we want to make sure we get those 4s and 5s locked in. You don't get your scores back till July for these May exams. You want to update the essays, activities to mirror the top 5 signals, and you want to read each college's testing and AP pages every August because the policies do adjust. So the strategy session for top school admissions is that now that you know what top 1% of students do differently, the next step is figuring out where your student stands today across those 5 signals and how to close the gap before applications go in. So we are offering a top school strategy session completely free. And so how do we get this, right? because I threw a ton of information at you. I went through these 5 signals, and you may be thinking like, I don't know this, or I think my kid's okay, but I really want to know. Well, we actually have a tool that we give you a free college roadmap. This roadmap will show you the exact strategy, what to do, how to do it, what you need. So you don't need to guess this. You don't need to go research a ton of different sites. All you need to do is fill out the information as completely as possible. And literally, it will create a roadmap for you. It is a PDF document we will email to you. And as an added bonus, we'll actually give you a free call to review it with you as well. So it's to identify your child's current standing across the 5 academic signals and build this customized 12 to 18 month roadmap for elite college admissions. So having a plan is better than just hoping and praying that it's going to work out. Like I said at the beginning of the hour, if you're just joining us late, all kids that go to elite schools have good GPAs. The GPA is not an indicator of success. There's rigor, relevance, and we talked about the score indicator. So the standardized testing scores are going to eliminate more kids than the GPA alone. So if you do this, this is completely free. The roadmap takes about a minute to generate. And if you book a call to review it, we'll include academic profile review. We'll talk about your GPA test scores, AP course rigor. We'll do a gap analysis against the Ivy League, Stanford, and MIT, and what their benchmarks are based on the data. 12-month testing and AP strategy timeline. We'll give you a personal action plan for AP selection, SAT prep, college positioning, and then parent Q&A, next steps for maximizing competitive. Just for watching this webinar, you're going to get this roadmap free and the call for free. So every year I meet with students with 4.0 GPAs, like I said in the beginning, who still get denied from top schools because they never built the complete academic single profile that elite colleges now expect. So your student may already be closer than you think, but without an expert strategy, you risk missing key admission triggers that can make or break top tier application. I think literally the college admission space is now like $1 billion, right? Because people are hiring college consultants to help guide this through this. So again, after you leave the strategy session, you'll leave with a clear understanding of where your student ranks among top applicants, a roadmap to hit those targets, a plan to use every semester strategically for elite college positioning, and a checklist for essays, testing, and AP validation signals. So you'll walk away from this session with a clear plan for admissions guaranteed for readiness. And if we can identify next steps to strengthen your student's profile, you don't pay anything, right? It's completely free call. And it's free to have. You can get an email PDF, and the call is literally just a review. At the end of the call, if you're interested in actually implementing it and you want help with that, we'll offer, if you get value from it, potentially if you want to work with us, completely free to choose to do that. If not, no hardship. But we've had a lot of success with these roadmaps. And again, just having the review so you understand where those gaps are important. So if you're ready to build your top school roadmap, all you have to do is click on the URL, or scan the URL, or type in this tiny URL, and it will take you to this. So what that roadmap looks like, you're going to get a PDF. It's prettier, I promise, in person. Just fill out this information. Try to be as accurate as possible with the schools, with the grades, things like that. And just takes like a couple minutes to complete. And if you say yes, high school student, grade, and then there's going to be some other information. So fill that out completely. You'll get the roadmap. It'll redirect you to a call. So if you want the free call to review the roadmap, to give you that action plan, book the call as well. There are limited spots available. And the roadmap we will email to you. So you get a nice PDF copy of the roadmap. I will be on here for about 15 minutes. Literally ask me any questions regarding college admissions, clarifying what I talked about. It was some high level stuff. Like I said, we're going to send out the document as well, completely free, to walk you through this. But what questions do you have about how to get your child into these top schools? You can drop it in the chat or in the chat or in the Q&A section. I do have a poll. I don't know how to do it though. Let me see. All right. Any questions I can answer regarding top admissions, AP testing strategy, common data sets? What would be helpful to you? And again, the roadmap is completely free. You just got to fill out the information, and the call is completely free. Literally, a call with one of our admissions experts. We'll go over the roadmap with you. If you're interested in a second call and potentially getting the personalized guidance, you could set that up. But the call is free, the time is free, the roadmap is free. So, any questions from our people still on that I can answer? If they've received a really low AP test score, is all hope lost? The school required an AP class? Okay. The quick answer is no, Erica. It is not. All hope is never lost. If you could give me some context, what school are we talking about and what AP score and what grade, so I can help give you a little bit more information about that. And if you're typing, I'll answer this other question I received. My student has a 3.7 GPA, didn't do well in Spanish, and a 1490 SAT, but has 5 APs with fives, and she's taken another 4 APs this year. What are her chances of top schools, say Princeton? Very good. And I can actually show you what I mean by that. So, real quick, I'm going to take the link off here in a second. So if you don't see it, you can use that link in the chat. So let's go to what I would honestly fill out that roadmap request anyway. So we're going to go Princeton Common Data Set. So this is common data sets. This is the data that drives admissions. This is one of the things that we use. Like, it's not a secret. You literally can just Google it yourself. But what the section, no one reads these things because they don't know what the heck they're looking at. But what's going to pertain to you is first year admission. That is almost always section C, actually always section C. So Princeton had last year 20,000 men apply, 19,000 women. They admitted 900 each, right? 1,800. So pretty low admissions rate. And it kind of goes in who applied. First year, so far. Total academic units required. As you see, Princeton requires everything to be really important: rigor, class rank, academic GPA, test scores, application essay, recommendation letter, and the non-academic factors as well. And then again, Princeton does not require, but considered. Most kids are submitting their SAT scores. Their AP exams also help for admissions. So out of the students that submitted, all the students that applied, 56 submitted. And out of those 56% that submitted, the SAT composite score was a 1,500 to a 1,560. So she had a 1,490. Is she a senior? Sorry, the anonymous person, your student, are they a junior or senior, and are they taking the SAT again? Because you're right at the 25th percentile. So the fives are going to be another indicator that's going to boost it. That 1,500, she's a senior. Okay. Did she take the SAT again? Are we waiting for scores, or are we done with the SAT? Anonymous person. So done with SAT. Okay, 1490. It's technically below the 25th percentile. It's still really, really close. So I would still submit that. The fives are going to be a really good indicator. Unfortunately, the fours taking this year as a senior, you're not going to get the scores back in time for college admissions. So the fives are good. GPA 3.78, it's good. So just to show you the stats, so 3.78, she's in 3.75. So 23% of students got admitted with that. So out of the students that got admitted. So there are some indicators for success you want to build. Um, are you doing early decision, early action, or anything with Princeton? And where are you at with it? So I would recommend hammering down on that essay, the personal story as well. So she did early decision. So she has a chance. I'm not saying she doesn't have a chance. She does. It's just you're right on the cusp of that. So you submitting November 1st? Or did you already submit? Was early decision for Princeton? I don't know what date it is. It's on here. So you're right there. You're really close. But there are other schools too that so hopefully that helps. So yes, it's possible, not impossible. She has a major international service project submitting tomorrow. Okay, good luck. So yes, you're still possibility there. Okay. Another question. How do universities differentiate between schools, and some schools in the big cities have more resources, but schools in rural areas don't? Okay. So they do know, that's a good question. They do know the schools. Like they're going to use the US News rankings, the niche rankings. They're going to know schools in quality based on some other data that's outside of your control. As far as student comparison, that's why they strip the weighted GPA out to see the unweighted GPA to compare more apples to apples. So yes, they do factor that in. They know schools that have less resources than schools that do have resources. So that is a factor when they do look at it as well. But in terms of the GPA, that's what they do the stripping out. So back to Erica's question. She's in freshman AP CSP score of 1. Several other AP scores are much higher than she's a design, and she's a designated AP scholar. The school forces all freshmen to take it. Yeah, she's not into computer science. So she's a junior this year, taking 3 APs for a total of 7. So as long as she's progressing with her AP scores and she's going to show 4s or 5s, that is perfectly fine. It's okay. You can explain away a 1. You're not no, not all hope is lost. In fact, if you want help with those APs, we do help with those as well. We actually have a program that guarantees 4s and 5s. But yeah, you could put all it together. That is 100% possible. Are you looking to get into a top 25 school or top admissions? Let me know. She's a junior this year, taking 3 APs. Not a top. No, I meant, is she going to a? Does she want to go into a top Ivy League school? And if you want Erica, fill out the roadmap request. No, top public school. Got it. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that's perfectly fine. I recommend you fill out the roadmap. We can show you exactly what you need to do. That was answered. That's done. That's done. That's done. You're welcome. Any other questions? So again, fill out the roadmap. It is completely free. Any other questions? Once again, we have. You're welcome. Have a good one. All right. If there's no other questions, I will close it down early. Again, the roadmap invite is still there. So again, if you want to fill it out and get a free call with our team, use that link. Otherwise, have a good evening. We'll send out the resources tomorrow. We'll send out the replay as well. Thank you all for attending. We'll catch you next week for another training. Thank you.